Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to not have to use my keynote voice anymore and talk to you like normal people. If we haven't met before, my name's Dave. I'm the Senior Product Manager on our JIRA ecosystem team, and I'm well aware that I'm also the only thing standing in between all of you and lunch, so I'm going to try to keep this quick, under 25 minutes, get everybody back on track. You might remember me from last year if you were here at AtlasCamp, because last year we came to AtlasCamp and we talked about JIRA 7 publicly for the first time. And JIRA 7 was a huge step for us because we introduced not one, not two, but 3 new products that were tailor-made for the individual markets that they were intended to serve. And we got a ton of great feedback from all of you at AtlasCamp. And when it was a huge relief when we finally introduced JIRA Software, JIRA Service S3, and JIRA Core to customers at the beginning of October. And that's really great because that means that I can spend the next 20 minutes talking about Star Wars Episode 8. I want to go on the record and say that Rey is definitely Luke Skywalker's daughter. There's no doubt in my mind. But since I probably can't fill 20 minutes with Star Wars jokes, we can talk about JIRA. And luckily, unlike Star Wars movies, we release something new to JIRA Cloud just about every day. So I'm going to start just quickly, what have we done in the last 6 months since we released JIRA 7, and then talk about, the fresh new announcements that I mentioned in the keynote. So we have 3 markets for JIRA: software teams, IT teams, and business teams. And while IT and business are newer focuses for JIRA, we've been around software teams for a long time. Pretty much as long as JIRA has existed, software teams have been using JIRA. So it might not have really seemed like a big deal that we now have a product called JIRA Software that's for software development teams. But by introducing JIRA Software, it actually unlocked a lot of potential for us internally. Because rather than having to separate out JIRA and the Agile software development into a separate plugin, introducing software projects with JIRA Software has helped us concentrate on making sure that JIRA Software looks and feels like it was built from the ground up for software development. And internally, we've formed an entire team that's dedicated to JIRA Software and dialing in on the day-to-day, week-to-week experiences that software development teams have to do the most. And I want to take a minute to show you a couple examples of how we've applied that. So this is a permission scheme for a JIRA Software project. Now, anyone who's tried to administer a JIRA project knows that we have a lot of permissions. A lot of permissions. And you've probably missed that there's actually a whole new one in there, which is the manage sprints permission. Now, there's not a whole lot to show here, but previously only project administrators were able to create sprints, start sprints, end sprints. And now you can give permission to anybody within your project to manage the sprints without giving them full project ownership responsibility. They don't have all the project admin access. And that's really great because it allows teams that are using JIRA Software to more closely map the permission structure of JIRA to how their organization actually works. It's a small feature. It's not going to change the entire world, but on the other hand, I want to call it out because it's the kind of thing we're thinking about, the details that matter when you're trying to develop software with JIRA. And we're also really excited that the 678 customers that voted for this feature have seen this resolved. This was shipped back in February or March. But that was just a warm-up for the bigger thing that we've been working on, which is backlogs and Kanban boards. We've been hearing for a long time that it's really tough to manage all of the backlog of work that you have in a Kanban board. So that's why we introduced Kanban. And what Kanban allows you to do is get rid of that giant to-do list that piles up in the far left side of the Kanban board, and make sure that you can use a Kanban board for what a Kanban board is really intended for, which is to minimize work in progress and make sure that you're flowing issues directly from to-do to in progress to done. And if you have 100, 200, 500 issues that are all piled up in your to-do progress, it really can inhibit your success in Kanban, because if the whole premise of Kanban relies on a developer being able to jump in and know exactly what the next most important priority is and start working on it, if your to-do column is such a mess that they can't find it, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose of Kanban. So Kanban is really easy to set up. So when you enable Kanban planning on your Kanban board, we'll basically take whatever is in that far left column and make that your backlog. And so then you hit a backlog, all the features, like I said, mentioned in the keynote, all the features that you have in a Scrum board. We're using the exact same technology, ranking, drag and drop, select a bunch of issues, send them to the top, send them to the selected for development column, and then you get that simple selected for development column. So you can prune that, maintain it. Product managers are going to love it because it allows them to make sure that only the issues that are really the top priority for the team end up on the Kanban board. And that becomes your selected for development column. And don't worry, the backlog and selected for development, selected for development is completely renameable. So if you want to call it something else, you have all of the customizations that are available in JIRA Software, so you can map specific workflow statuses to your workflow, to the backlog, and to the selected for development column as well. And like I mentioned, we're really, really excited to get this out to customers. This is the second highest voted feature for all of JIRA Software, and it's available in JIRA Software Cloud right now, and it'll be coming soon to JIRA Software and Server as well. Yeah, okay, we can clap, So like I said, JIRA Software, we've really been working hard on not trying to change the world, but refocus on the most important experiences, not the stuff that you do once a month, once every 6 months, but the stuff that matters for using JIRA Software every single day. But I also want to mention, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the newest member of the JIRA family, which is JIRA Core. And JIRA Core was a huge step for Atlassian because it was the first product we built on the JIRA platform that was really intended specifically for business teams, for non-technical users, marketing, HR, legal, finance, all the teams that have been slowly joining onto the JIRA platform. We wanted to make a product that was really built for them. And so JIRA Core extends the basic workflow functionality and customizability of JIRA to business teams who need to manage their projects and tasks. And so it's a kind of purpose-built experience. You get a simple way to create issues and add fields, workflows, but it's just a simple list of issues. And we introduced it at AtlasCamp last year, and we immediately started hearing feedback from all of you that have been working to bring JIRA into those business teams and all over the organization. And you were saying that business teams, just because they weren't practicing software development, doesn't mean that they weren't trying to be more agile, that they didn't need a way to track their work visually. And a lot of the reason why business teams were coming to JIRA was because they wanted to use the boards and have a way to track their work on a board. But on the other hand, if we just followed Einer's advice here and brought and added Kanban boards back into JIRA Core, it would kind of defeat the whole purpose of JIRA 7, which is that we could have purpose-built products for software teams and business teams. We spent 5 or 6 years developing Agile boards to be an awesome software development experience, and we'd have to make a lot of trade-offs if we were trying to share Kanban boards across software development teams and business teams. So we actually went back to the drawing board and built an entirely new type of board from scratch that we're calling JIRA Core boards. So JIRA Core boards, they're simple, they're beautiful, and they're built for business teams. It's really simple to create an issue. You just click the plus button there, and you'll be able to just type issues and inline create them. You can create any number of tasks, simple drag and drop across the different columns, and this is an active development It's available in new business projects that you create in JIRA Cloud today. So I encourage you to check it out. Just create a new business project in your cloud instance, and you can see how it works. And we're really, because we started getting your feedback about boards in JIRA Core last year, we're really keen to get your feedback this year. So please seek us out over in the JIRA product area and share what you think. So we've got these 3 amazing products for 3 different markets, and the one thing that they all have in common is that they get better with add-ons. And we can't meet the needs of every software team and every IT team and every business team on our own, and that's where all of you come in. So I'm really proud that we now have over 150 Atlassian Connect add-ons available for JIRA. Give yourselves a round of a hand if you've been building. And we've doubled from AtlasCamp last year. And it's not just that we've doubled, but we've seen some of the most successful JIRA Server add-ons, some of the biggest names in our marketplace, and some of the biggest businesses in the Atlassian ecosystem embrace Atlassian Connect. So I want to thank our partners, I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank you for coming and listening to me and letting me try and convince you, if you haven't already started, to build an Atlassian Connect add-on for JIRA. We haven't been sitting still. JIRA's in a pretty unique position. We've added a pretty extensive REST API for a long time, and we've had Atlassian Connect for a couple of years now. So there's not as many, if you were in the Confluence presentation, we don't have any big gaps, big new patterns for implementing JIRA, but we do want to enable bigger, better add-ons. And we recognize that right now that means that there's a lot of features, a lot of ways to integrate your add-ons a little bit more deeply into JIRA, solve some of the missing pieces that have been blocking different people from joining Atlassian Connect. And probably the most important of those is the ability to integrate with the specialized features of JIRA Software and JIRA Service Desk. And you've already heard quite a bit about the JIRA Service Desk API today, so I want to go into a little bit more detail about JIRA Software. So the JIRA Software API, we announced it last year at AtlasCamp and got a lot of great feedback from all of you. And I'm really excited that it's finally 100% shipped. And everybody who's been using private old APIs is now 100% on the public, fully supported JIRA Software API. The JIRA Software API, it's a straightforward way to you can get all of the boards, all of the issues on the boards. You can interact with sprints and epics and versions. You can rank issues. You can create sprints, start sprints, end sprints, get the assignees for issues in the sprint. So there's a lot of features that will really help you not just build great add-ons for JIRA, but great add-ons for JIRA software that are available now that we have the JIRA Software API. And we've also added those new plugin points that allow you to interact directly with the JIRA software user interface, so you can add new actions that are available on the board or navigate from the board to your add-on's visual representation of the JIRA software team's work. And I want to take you through a couple examples. So the first one is Retrospective tools for JIRA, which won our Code Guys competition last year. They provide all these awesome tools for reviewing your project history. And with the JIRA Software API, they're able to let you filter that project history by the board or even by the swim lanes on your board. The Epic SumUp add-on, it adds a panel to the View Issue page that allows you to review your Epic project progress or all of the issues that are inside of that Epic directly from the View Issue page, similar to how you would with time tracking. And finally, Tempo Planner. Tempo Planner is a full-scale project management, resource planning solution for JIRA. And they were able to add the ability to not just have your team members plan their work, but actually filter that work by board or epic or backlog directly inside of the Tempo Planner UI. So we think that JIRA Software API was an overdue big step for helping all of you build add-ons for software teams. And so there's a huge demand for variation. There's huge demand for variation and tooling to make software development in JIRA better. And so I'm really excited to see how you can take advantage of the JIRA Software API to build on that variation. But I want to talk about entity properties for a second. So this is where the talk gets slightly more technical. Entity properties are awesome. As an add-on developer, they let you store data in JIRA. And there's 3 reasons why they're so awesome. The first is that it means that there's less data that you have to store on your own server when you're running an Atlassian Connect add-on service. You can move more operations to the client side. You have to do less processing. In general, you're storing less state in your add-on, and that can simplify your application. And it simplifies import and export quite a bit. Our cloud customers move between instances. They move from cloud to server. They move from server to cloud. And when they do, the more data that we can store inside of that JIRA export instead of on your own add-on server means that it can simplify their migration. If somebody's using your cloud add-on on one instance and then they want to move to another instance, you don't want them to have to do some kind of manual migration. That's more work for them, it's more work for you. If you can store your add-on's data inside of JIRA, it's going to simplify the process quite a bit. And finally, it allows you to build inline conditions with Atlassian Connect in JIRA. So you can set a property on the issue page and then determine whether or not your add-on's web panel will load based on the value of that property. So that can make the UI work a lot cleaner, and it can actually improve the performance of both JIRA and your add-on. And so we got really excited about entity properties, and we've been adding them to as many different entities within JIRA as possible. And with the new JIRA Software API, we also added support for boards and sprints entity properties as well. But it's not just about where entity properties are available, but what you can do with them. And the reason why I'm super excited about entity properties is because they really are the answer to building advanced JQL extensions with Atlassian Connect. And let me show you how we're working on this. If you were at AtlasCamp last year, I went through this example, but I'll review it for everyone's sake. So this is an example of how you would implement a JQL function like has comments true or the number of comments with entity properties and JQL in JIRA. So basically, I define a new entity in my Atlassian Connect descriptor for issues, and I link it to an issue property. So this is an issue property that I'm setting called comments, and with that issue property called comments, I define a JQL extraction. And so this is basically a way for your add-on to tell JIRA that you have a set of values inside of your property that you want JIRA to index and make available for JQL searches. So in this case, I create a new JQL object called comment count. I provide JIRA with a type. Should be numeric, not integer, but anyway. So this tells JIRA that which operations to make available when you're doing JQL searches on this property, and then provide it with a JQL alias. In this case, we're calling that alias has comments. And then it's really simple because JIRA actually does most of the work. So whenever there's a comment on the issue, you can update the property that you set, which we are calling comments. So somebody comments, my add-on finds out about that comment and updates the property. It says comments equals 1. And then JIRA will actually look at that and update the comment count index inside of JQL. And that'll allow a user to use the alias that you've already defined and JIRA already knows about to enter a JQL search like that. It's really cool. And we thought it was so cool that we wanted to add a couple more features to it. So we added this same support for users and projects. So it works very similar, but in this case, instead of a user property, instead of an issue property, I'm using a user property. So in this case, I've got a user with a property called organization, and in that organization property, type text, still has a JQL alias. And I can update the organization of all the different users in JIRA, and JIRA will construct a user organization index. And that will allow me to run a JQL search like that, where I can use JIRA's user issue fields and search based on the properties that my add-on is defining for them. That'll allow you to implement lots of really cool, awesome stuff. And like I said, we did this for projects as well, so you can add custom values on top of projects, users, and issues, and they're all available to search for in JQL. I'm really, really excited about what you guys can come up with. So please come by, sign up for a one-on-one, talk to us in the JIRA product booth, and ask us to show you how it works. So when you look at the view issue page and how you would extend it with Atlassian Connect, you've got a lot of options. You've got the REST API, workflow properties, post functions. You can add web items to take actions, new panels to display content from your add-on. But there's one big missing gap. And that's right in the middle of the page with the field data. So I'm excited to announce I've been working on the #1 most requested feature in Atlassian Connect for JIRA, and that's the ability to define your own custom fields via Atlassian Connect. We're calling them issue fields because they're not quite the same as custom fields, but we think that they'll solve a lot of the use cases that are really necessary for custom fields with Atlassian Connect. And most importantly, you'll be able to add them to the create screen, the edit screen, and the view screen. They render like all the other fields in JIRA, and rather than having to create your own panel to get people to add data and then using an issue property, you can use the issue fields and take advantage of all of the features of custom fields that are built in. And they still have the same power of properties, though. So you'll be able to use a simple API. It's a lot simpler to create a new issue field than it ever was to add a new custom field via P2. So defining your issue field is pretty straightforward. You're basically going to provide a key for your field and so you'll provide a key for your field and a name. And initially, we'll be supporting 3 different types of fields: text fields, numeric fields, and single select option fields. And then you can define those search extractions the same way I demonstrated with issue properties. So you'll be able to define multiple different search extractions for each one of your issue fields. And when you do, you can create. This is what you get. It looks like every other field because it really is just another field in JIRA with the options that you've defined. And it's really simple to use the JIRA API to add or remove new options from your fields. So I've got 2 options here for my team field, my team, and my other team. If I want to add another option, I send a really, really simple post to the new REST API resource that actually, I'll go back. So I define the key for my issue field as team issue field, right? And now JIRA provides a new REST API based on the key that I provide that I can post to add new options. So I'll post a new value called AtlasCamp 2016 team, and boom, I have a new value for my field, AtlasCamp 2016 team. It works just like that, I promise, including the bouncy effect. So quick demo how it works. So I've got my Atlassian Connect add-on descriptor here with my new JIRA issue field defined. I'm going to start at my Atlassian Connect app really quick. Atlassian Connect Express. Now it's running. So I've defined my field, and I've got a bunch of different values. And so in this case, I'm actually just going to look up the available values, and we're just displaying these on a page in JIRA just to show you how it works. But what really matters is that when I go to an issue, I will be able to add that field directly to the view issue page. So I'll add a field, look at my field. Oh, look, it's right there. And all of the values that I've already defined are available to select from. So if you want to learn more, we're doing a technical deep dive of issue fields with Atlassian Connect with Bartek, who's one of the developers that worked on the feature at 3:40 today. If you want to take advantage, we'll have a demo instance up and running where you can play with it, check it out, ask him any questions that you want. I really encourage you to check out that talk. So that's at 3:40 today. So thus far, we've talked about APIs, entity properties, and our new integration point with custom fields. And these account for several components of what we think of as the basic building blocks or the anatomy of every Atlassian Connect add-on. Pretty much every add-on on top of basic infrastructure is going to need a combination of 6 different services. A way to get data in and out of the product, a way to integrate with the UI, which we have with Atlassian Connect, and a way to store data with entity properties. So if you're wondering what's coming up on our roadmap, it's the other half of this slide. So a way to find out when changes have happened in JIRA and simplifying authentication and installation so that you can quickly and more easily build integrations with JIRA. So if you weren't paying attention at AtlasCamp last year or 2 years ago or this year during the keynote or in any talk that you've heard from any Atlassian, we've talked a lot about how JIRA's future is in the cloud. And that's part of the larger Atlassian cloud platform. And we've also talked a lot about how we are really interested in expanding JIRA from software teams to IT teams to business teams. And these aren't just 2 parallel efforts, but actually overlapping efforts. Because we strongly believe that being available in the cloud is critical to expanding JIRA's reach to every team. There's a lot of teams out there that are looking for something that's easy and simple to get started with, and that's what being in the cloud can offer. So if you're in the audience and you're thinking, what's my opportunity as a developer building on top of JIRA Cloud, we know that integrations with other SaaS products are actually the #1 most requested type of add-on for JIRA. There's a lot of teams that are already working with a whole suite of different cloud products for sales or accounting or financial tracking or builds or operations. There's literally thousands of add-ons that customers would love to have in JIRA Cloud to connect JIRA to the services that they're already using. So if you're looking for an idea, here's 25. And some, like NetSuite, represent huge revenue opportunities that can make JIRA significantly more valuable for business teams. We're going to have a talk later today with Karen, who's another product manager on the team, where he'll go over what we've heard from customers about what they're requesting, the feedback that we've received about JIRA Cloud. So if you're interested in building and want to get a direct line to JIRA Cloud customers, check out Kieran's talk. So I really encourage you to think about, how can I take up the mantle? How can I take advantage of the work that the JIRA team is doing and build on what is still and always will be Atlassian's biggest and best product? Thank you so much.